All right, you guys, we've got to get into these new rookie head coaches of the NFL. So I want to know, let's start with who's the best first. We've got Arthur Smith, which throws me off every time I hear the name because then I just picture our Art as a football coach, and could you guys imagine? That would be the best and worst thing of my life.
Art Smith, if Art was hired as a head coach in the NFL today, he would be the first head coach in NFL history to lead a team to 5 consecutive 0-17 seasons. I promise you. It would be so impressive.
He would be the most optimistic
You
coach.
could give him the Kansas City Chiefs roster, and he would go 0-17, I promise you.
But he'd say 10-7 every year.
Right. He'd be in the press conferences being like, you know what, guys? We're going at least 10-7, Super Bowl, wild card. Let's go, baby. And you know what? I would love it. So anyway, we've got Arthur Smith, Robert Saleh, DC, obviously, Urban Meyer, my guy, Dave Culley, and Brandon Staley. Let's hear it from you, Adam. Who do you think? Who's doing the best? Let's start with the
All right.
we should start with the worst, right? And on a good note.
No. Let's start with the best. All right.
Okay.
The guy that's doing the best job so far is Brandon Staley, and it's not even a question right now.
We agree on that.
The Chargers are 2-1. They just beat Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Big win. Justin Herbert looking everything, if not better than he was last year. So impressed. But I've got to say, you just look at the background of Brandon Staley. It is such a good hire. Forget the results you've gotten short term right now. The guy comes from a defensive coaching tree and really a foundation that it all starts from the Legion of Boom days, right? So what Brandon Staley does so well, is that he is able to stack the box but also play extreme cover zone. And it's so impressive. They can go 3 deep and with 2 safeties. They can have a single high safety. Brandon Staley is really changing the game right now defensively. And it's so impressive. You saw what he did last year with the Los Angeles Rams under Sean McVay. They had the number 1 rated defense. Granted, it was already a good defense.
Right.
But they weren't number 1 across the board the year prior. He walks in and turns them essentially into not only the best defense, but one of the best defenses we've seen in recent time. And what was more impressive is you want to talk about the Rams finishing 10-6 last year. A lot of that had to do with the defense. Sean McVay and the offense with Jared Goff wasn't consistent. You would see them blow up for one game and then 2-3 games in a row where they weren't scoring much, but the defense was playing so well that you won the game. I love the Brandon Staley hire. I am envious of it right now. He is the guy that when you interview, this is like what you expect, right? You've had your Kyle Shanahans. In the near future, you're going to see the Mike LaFleurs. You're going to see the guys, you now see it in Kevin Stefanski, guys coming with coordinating experience. And you're like, how does that translate to a head coach? We've seen the Lions miss completely on Matt Patricia as a defensive coordinator, but you realize quickly that he wasn't really responsible for any of the defense.
Qualified.
He really wasn't. And then you look at guys like Kevin Stefanski, Matt LaFleur, Kyle Shanahan, even Zach Taylor to an extent right now in Cincinnati, Brandon Staley. The roadmap is there. Now, who's doing the worst job? In my opinion, it's got to be Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer, you have Trevor Lawrence, James Robinson, I would say a C- to C-rate offensive line. And you have 3 wide receivers that I promise you could make any NFL team right now.
Defense is no slouch. They're not horrible.
Defense has players, but the scheme seems to just be completely awful. And where I'm going with this is you can't lose the way you've been losing games with the roster talent you have. Now, again, he needs time. He's also adjusting to the game. But you got to get Trevor Lawrence in better situations to succeed. You can't keep asking him to drop back 30, 35 times, nor should any head coach ask that of a rookie. It is unheard of. So I think Urban Meyer is doing the worst job. I will say Brandon Staley doing the best job. Jeff?
We'll start with the worst job. It's Urban Meyer, no doubt. And
I hate you guys.
It's similar points to what you just made. Like, you have a rookie quarterback, one who many people mutually agree is one of the best prospects we've seen since, Andrew Luck. He's very dynamic, and the fact that he has to drop back in 3 games thus far, he's attempted 50 passes in every game. Like, you're not setting him up. We're talking about Justin Fields being set up for failure. Trevor Lawrence is in a position where he could have success, at least at least 500. That team could at least win a couple ball games. They look absolutely awful. The O-line is worse than I thought. And I'm going to take my attention over to Darrell Bevell because as much as people advocated for him to be the head coach of the Lions and whatnot, him being the offensive coordinator for the Jags, I think hurts Trevor Lawrence because the quarterbacks he's been a coordinator for, Brett Favre, gunslinger. You got Russell Wilson, another gunslinger who doesn't turn the ball over. Trevor Lawrence is a first-year rookie. He doesn't understand a lot of the concepts, and he's learning a Darrell Bevell's system who puts you the ball in bad situations, and Trevor seems like he's just falling down to it. So
it's unfortunate,
it's
right?
Very unfortunate.
Because Darrell Bevell, let's be honest, he's a okay to maybe good offensive coordinator, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But we saw this with Jim Schwartz a long time ago, Detroit. He was not the head coach you wanted him to be, but let's be real, he's a very good defensive coordinator. You can't take that away. Maybe he wasn't the best head coach, but he's a very good defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of see similarities with Darrell Bevell. I don't think he's ever capable of being a head coach, but he's not very good as a coordinator either. I don't like the hire. I hated it when they first made the announcement, especially given that they were going to draft Trevor Lawrence. I don't like Darrell Bevell at all. I don't. You're talking three consistent quarters of inconsistency is mapped all over Darrell Bevell's career. He can never get a full 4 quarters right. It drives me absolutely crazy.
Yep.
I don't like it.
He doesn't commit to running the ball either. That's the problem.
Not at all.
And
They get away from it so quickly, and you have James Robinson. And Travis Etienne, granted he's out for the year, but still, you have backs that can make people miss. Take the pressure off of Trevor Lawrence. Stop making these rookies try to be world beaters year one. It's just doesn't happen. And I want to talk about 2 other head coaches right now. I want to start with Robert Salah, and then we'll get into DC later.
Okay.
But Robert Salah, look at Sam Darnold right now. He's flourishing in Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And pre-draft, I made it very clear, if I were Robert Salah, I would consider trading back, acquiring draft capital, and giving Sam Darnold a year. Because it wasn't necessary for me to draft a quarterback number 2 overall. I probably could have made a deal, but they chose to move on. It's their decision. It's their grave that they're going to dig. Whether it works or not, we'll see. But the Jets have improved on defense. Robert Saleh's already added something there. It's not perfect, but may I just remind all of you at home, they lost a game to Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots barely, and Zach Wilson threw 4 interceptions.
Yeah.
Multiple turnovers, and they were still in the game for most of it.
Yeah, defensively.
They kept holding them to field goals. Robert Saleh will be okay in New York. Whether or not they can figure it out on offense is going to be the key thing, because I promise you, Sam Darnold was never the issue in New York, and he won't ever be looked at as the issue. You don't have wide receivers. You don't have an offensive line. You don't have a run game. I'm not sure how Zach Wilson is actually supposed to succeed. I want to be able to watch players and actually judge them based on not only their play, but situation. Okay, Mac Jones is in a much better situation. I expect him to be better than most. But Jeff, what are you supposed to do with Zach Wilson? The guy is being asked to do everything, and of course he's going to turn the ball over every other time.
Yeah, situation's everything in the NFL. We know it. If we're gonna, we had this conversation a couple weeks ago. What rookie will succeed at least from his situation? It's Mac Jones, and that's the unfortunate situation. It's not about who has the most talent. Zach Wilson could be as transcendent as everybody believes. It does not matter, because Sam Darnold couldn't figure it out for the New York Jets. And it's to your point, no offensive line, no run game. You have Corey Davis, but if everyone's doubling him, what is Corey Davis? I mean, you don't
Corey Davis is a nice flex option. That's what he is.
Very nice.
He's not going to win you games in the NFL, not because he's not a good wide receiver, guys. Jeff just made it very clear. You don't have a run game. Mm-hmm. You don't have an offensive line. What do you expect from New York? I actually expected them to be very bad this year. How can Robert Saleh or any head coach walk into that situation to fix it? He's already improved the defense. They look more coherent.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually improved the defense. But you look at the offense, it's a disaster. You can't fix that with just drafting Zach Wilson. I could make the same argument for Dan Campbell.
Yep.
You walk in, the offense is good. It has pieces.
Yeah, Dan's in almost, you can argue, a better situation in terms of pieces
much
already
better,
on the team.
Much better. But on defense, super void of talent.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. At least on defense, your defense can keep you in the games. The Lions have shown they can get blitzed for 17, 21, 24 points in a half and not score a single point.
Mm-hmm.
They've shown it. That's not ideal when you actually get to the point where you want to win football games. Neither team right now is in a competing stage. But I look at Robert Saleh, I look at Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell has improved the culture. He's really turned the organization around from a vibrant standpoint. He's really changed the energy going around. That's great. Robert Saleh's walked in. He has a lot to do on offense. The defense he will figure out. I have no doubts.
And he's bringing rookies with him in terms of coordinators.
It's a ton of rookies. It's
Yeah.
a ton. It's a ton. But I like the job both are doing so far. They've both done the job they've been asked to do so far.
Agreed.
What I don't like about Robert Saleh in New York right now is their inability to run the football and put Zach Wilson in a position where he can actually succeed. This is really difficult. It's a really difficult spot for all these rookie head coaches. Brandon Staley's the clear one. Are we missing anybody? Arthur Smith with the Falcons it doesn't look good right now. You know, again, every single offseason you hear this is the guy. This is the coordinator, the genius, 1, 2, 3. And of the 5, 6, 7 that are hired, it's typically 2, 3, or 4 of them that work out. Arthur Smith right now is looking on the side that probably might not work out.
Yeah.
You have a veteran quarterback, veteran wide receiving core, a young, very good prospect at tight end, and you can't score points? Like, I would have been okay with Arthur Smith if they lost every single game, but their offense was putting up numbers. And it's like, oh, well, he got the offense figured out, but he's got to figure out the defense now. Now he needs a year or two to, get the appropriate talent. But, they're 1-2 right now.
Mm-hmm.
They don't look very dynamic on offense, and maybe they need time. But still, it's early on. You're like, well, at least I can point to Robert Saleh and say, wow, the defense is better. I can point to Brandon Staley and say, wow, he's already made Los Angeles a top 10 defense, which they probably should have been last year, but granted, Darwin James was out for the season. But still, I'm already seeing improvement everywhere. It's not crazy for me to ask improvement from the other coaches as well. Robert Saleh, Arthur Smith, it's Dan Campbell. You can ask just for the little things.
And we can close it with this. I think over time we'll see who really is the most impactful rookie head coach. And I will say this, Dan Campbell was an interim head coach. So he's not technically a rookie, but, at least in terms of year one, we can mutually agree that Brandon Staley's in the best situation and he's doing the best with it. So
100%.
We'll see. Over time, we'll see.
I think Dan Campbell's in a good situation, man. Look at the offense. You have an offensive line that is going to be a problem in the NFL if healthy for the next 6 to 8 years. You have a running back situation that is good for the next 3 to 4. You have a tight end, ideally, for the next 8 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
You have pieces.
I think they're a couple pieces away, less than probably what most people think.
No, on offense, it's only 2.
Yeah.
On defense, you're looking at 7, 8 pieces. It's a lot.
Well,
They
defense,
really gotta hit their draft picks next year.
Mm-hmm.
They really need to do well in free agency, and they need to avoid nagging injuries. Iffy injured, Jeff Okudah injured. I need to figure out if these guys can play football. But regardless, we got to go to break. Kennedy, get us out of here.
I was just going to say before you're talking about who's in a great situation here. Well, talk about someone that's in a horrible situation, David Culley with the Texans. Poor guy waits till he's almost 70 to be a head coach for the first time. And then Deshaun Watson's out. Now they've got to do something with Davis Mills.
I don't even want to acknowledge.
The poor guy is not getting a fair shake in the league.
No, you know what? They gave him a fair shot in the league. You know why? Because he wasn't going to get a job unless it was in Houston. Nobody was going to hire this guy. They gave him the job. It's a thank you. Just deal with our BS because we're a poorly run franchise right now.
Yeah.
We have a quarterback that's getting investigated. We're paying him not to play, but we actually have the right not to pay him, but we're somehow paying him. I'm not understanding this situation. It makes no sense to me. I don't want to even acknowledge what's happening in Houston. They are dead to me. They are not even an NFL franchise, if you ask me. If they show up on the schedule, I don't even consider it a football game.
Wow.
He's got a lot of work to do. That's basically what Adam just summed up.
Feelings
a lot of
there.
work to do.
Yeah, that's okay.
Over in Houston.
We'll just leave it at that. How about?